Embrace every moment, for it could be your last. Xenagos, God of Revels, flavor text of Relic of Abandon. The multiverse is full to the brim with all sorts of planeswalkers, hailing from a variety of worlds and races, and each with their own wants and desires. Some aspire to be great heroes, some seek to travel or to attain arcane knowledge, and some planeswalkers crave nothing more than to party. The life of the satyr Xenagos was practically defined by discord and violence. Even as an unborn baby, he would prove murderous, killing his own twin sister while they were still in the womb. The satyrs of Theros are whimsical hedonists and rarely choose to raise their own young. Risa, Xenagos' mother, saw in her son the spark of greatness, and so chose to nurture and care for him. Her motherly love was rewarded with pain and sorrow. Xenagos' violent streak was evident, even as a child, and he would end up murdering another satyr youth. Even after fleeing their home in Setessa, Risa would continue trying to raise Xenagos, who by now had turned to attempting matricide. As Xenagos grew older, he would take part in the same hedonistic lifestyle that all satyrs naturally enjoyed, caring for nothing but the idle pleasures of the flesh. Xenagos would travel from Rollick night to Rollick night, indulging in food, wine, and chaotic revelries. This would continue for some time until one night, in the Skola Valley, Xenagos was caught up in a particularly intense celebration known as a Bakaya. As the night grew darker, the party descended into chaos. Whether it was the violence, the sacrifices, or the sheer intensity of it all, Xenagos was overwhelmed, and he found his planeswalker spark igniting. Now the satyr was free to host his revelries across the countless realms of the multiverse. He traveled far and wide, partying as he went. But as he danced among the vast infinity of the stars, his own irrelevance began to dawn on him. Xenagos slowly came to understand that he was but one small drop in the vast oceans of reality, that any one being was nothing more than a tiny speck in the tapestry of stars. His thoughts drifted to his home, to Theros and the gods that dominated it. These beings always seemed so vast to him in his youth. They were always beyond him, always so superior. But now he walked beyond even their horizons. He saw wonders they could never dream of. Xenagos began to curb his rampant hedonism and would begin to sow his ambitions. A plot stirred in his mind, one that surely nobody could conceive of. He would return to Theros. He would ascend to divinity. He would become one of the gods and show them just how small they really were. Through unknown means, the Planeswalker had gleaned that the strength of the gods was determined by their devout, by the prayers and beliefs of their worshippers. And so, if he were to join their number, Xenagos would need worshippers of his own. Xenagos returned to his home, to the forests of Skola Valley. There, among the endless festivities, he established himself a momentous following. Going by the name of King Stranger, he weaved a court of dancing and decadence, with himself at the center. Here, as the satyrs and humans indulged in the very hedonism he had long since grown bored of, Xenagos put his plan into motion. He would spy on the actions of the gods through kidnapped oracles and weaved chaotic rituals in the dim of night. These rituals served as the centerpiece of his plans. They blurred the lines between the human world and Nyx, and would pull the stars themselves down from the sky as Nyxborn. Chaos spread in the mortal realm, and monsters roamed the lands. The Pantheon suspected one another of causing the shift in the world and took to infighting, even as Xenagos' revelries awoke one of the most dangerous monsters of all, Polukranos. This Hydra, known as the World Eater, was favorite among Nylea's beasts, but it was a threat to the world of men. Long ago, it fell from the night sky during a battle between Perforos and Heliod. Nylea, fearing the harm it could cause, dragged the Hydra into a deep, peaceful slumber. Xenagos weaved his hectic rituals to awaken the beast, taunting it and driving it to attack the city of Meletis. This same magic, these same revelries, blinded the gods to his actions, all except for Nylea. The instant the god of the hunt saw signs of Xenagos' revels rousing the Hydra, she descended upon him in fury. Nylea smashed through Xenagos' defensive magics, interrogating the satyr. He taunted her in kind, revealing nothing of his own schemes save that another had entered into Theros, someone who now drew Polukranos, someone that Xenagos intended to capitalize on. Nylea had no patience for the satyr's games, and shot him in the chest with her bow. In an act of defiance, Xenagos broke off the shaft and threw it back at the god, leaving the arrowhead embedded in his chest. Nylea quickly departed, taking the very life of Skola Valley with her. As Xenagos stood in the wasteland he called home, the next stage of his plan had begun, and the silence was enacted, drawing away all the gods from Theros. Elspeth Tirel, a planeswalker and newcomer to Theros, was now crucial to Xenagos' schemes. Using Godsend, the very weapon Perforos attacked Heliod with years before, Elspeth was able to slay Polukranos as the Sun God's champion. Her fame and renown spread quickly with this great deed, making her the perfect catalyst for Xenagos' ascension. In secret, Xenagos had stolen away Perforos' finest creation, the Nyx-born smith, Petros, and tasked him with creating minotaurs. These minotaurs, Nyx-born like their creator, were presented to Rurdon the Rageblood. This minotaur was a faithful to the god of slaughter, Mogis. Using lies and deceit, Xenagos convinced Rurdon to take an army of these Nyx-born and assault the city of Akros. He then made his way into the city, allowing himself to be captured in order to secure a meeting with Elspeth herself. Xenagos manipulated the Sun's champion, giving her all the information she needed in order to repel and defeat the Minotaur hordes at the city's gate. Leading an army from the cities of Akros, Meletis, and Setessa, Elspeth routed the Minotaur forces. This led to the greatest celebration seen in centuries, exactly what Xenagos had hoped for. Xenagos took hold of the energies of the revelry, twisting them into the final ritual needed to propel his essence into the starry sky. Xenagos became the god of revelry, usurper of the Pantheon, and sower of chaos on Theros. And in a final act of needless cruelty, he sent a nightmare into Elspeth's mind while she slept, causing her to kill her lover, Daxos, the Oracle of Heliod. Xenagos then spent his time in Nyx, granting strength to his revelers and causing a wave of chaos to sweep over the world of Theros. The ritual that granted him divinity only provided so much strength, and Xenagos needed all the power he could get to cement his place in the Pantheon, in addition to sending out his followers to spread the word and revel in the name of their new god. Xenagos also took to capturing the Nyx-born servants of the other gods. He imprisoned these celestial beings, using them as fuel to further his own divine growth. Still, though Xenagos grew in strength by the minute, he had made a fatal flaw by having Elspeth as an enemy. Elspeth had been made into a scapegoat for the god of Revel's actions and ascension, and she had become a pariah on Theros. Yet, she still traveled, alongside her close friend Ajani, to the end of the world, seeking vengeance for all the wrong Xenagos had done. In the realm of Nyx, Elspeth engaged the young god in combat. Xenagos was powerful, full of the strength of stars, and Elspeth was weary from her long travels and the battles that led her here. Briefly, Xenagos overpowered the sun's champion. But as the battle drew to an end, Elspeth lashed out, impaling Xenagos with Godsend, colliding with the very arrowhead the satyr had so arrogantly left in his chest. The arrow burst, shredding the god's heart and destroying him utterly. Even as Elspeth's life faded, she was victorious. Xenagos, for all his plans and schemes, had been a god for but a blink of an eye. His energy dissolved into the sky of Theros. He was annihilated utterly, without so much as a soul left behind. The primary antagonist of the Theros block, Xenagos the Reveler, was a new planeswalker introduced in the first set, Theros. Costing 2 generic mana, a red mana, and a green mana, Xenagos came into play with 3 starting loyalty. His +1 loyalty ability added any combination of red or green mana to your pool equal to the number of creatures you controlled. His second ability, costing 0 loyalty, created a 2/2 red and green satyr token, and his final ability exiled the top 7 cards of your library, putting any number of creatures and lands among them directly into play. In the second set, Born of the Gods, Xenagos ascended to godhood, becoming a legendary enchantment creature like the rest of the Pantheon. This new incarnation costs 3 generic mana, a red mana, and a green mana. A 6/5, Xenagos is indestructible and not treated as a creature unless your Gruul devotion was 7 or higher. His ability gave another of your creatures double their power and haste at the start of combat for the turn, allowing for some very large swings. This has made him quite popular in Commander. With Xenagos being ultimately annihilated, it's unlikely that he'll appear on a new card in the future. That is, of course, unless he were to somehow return. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like or sharing this video with your friends. If you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, you'll be alerted whenever I upload new videos. If you have a topic you'd like me to discuss, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Finally, if you'd like to support me directly, well, I've created a Patreon for this channel. If you like what I do and want to help me out, go check it out. A link to it will be in the description below. Thanks again, and have a great day.